Prayer becomes way more effective, way more impactful when we're mindful of a few things whenever we pray. And the first thing is kind of obvious. We got to be mindful of who we are praying to. We got to be mindful in our prayer life of who it is that we're actually talking to. Because your prayer life and my prayer life reveals what we know or what we really believe is true about God. So sometimes we think our unanswered prayer shows that God doesn't exist, but our prayers, when we pray and how we pray, reveals what we really know or believe is true about God. Whether it's a made-up version, a shallow version, a twisted version, oftentimes it's a limited version of what God is really capable of. I mean, we know that God's all-powerful, and we know that when it's like really chaotic or really hard or really out of our control, God, we need your help. But too often we limit God's potential in our everyday life. In some ways, our relationship with God is kind of like this, kind of. I mean, do you know what this is? Yeah, it looks like a test tube, doesn't it? There's much more potential here. If you're an engineer, you probably know what it is that I'm holding. But for an average person, when you look at this just looks like a weird version of some sort of baby bottle or something. It's like, I don't know what goes in there. I don't know that I want to know what goes in there. But what you may not realize is in the right circumstances, this is put into a machine, and it's called blow molding, where it's heated up just a little bit, air is pushed, and thanks to our friends at Pepsi, this little bottle actually turns into this, where you get your Lipton iced tea. Did you know that? I mean, that's fascinating. You would look at this and you would never, potentially, if you didn't know, you would never realize the kind of potential that this contains. And I think that's what happens with God. When it comes to praying to God, we know He should handle the big stuff, but in our everyday life, we think, you know what, we've got a quota. We don't really realize the potential. We limit who it is that we're talking to before we even start. And we need to stop. God doesn't have limits. I mean, this analogy starts to break down because He is beyond what we could understand or really believe. I mean, think about it. How does the Lord's Prayer begin? Our Father who art in heaven, some of you could say it with me, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Why did Jesus teach us to start that way? To remember who it is that we're praying to. That we have a Father in heaven who loves to give good gifts. That He's not here, I mean, He is here with us, but He is in heaven, meaning He has a different perspective of all that we're interacting with in our everyday life. Hallowed be thy name. He has a holy name. He is righteous. He always does what is right. Thy kingdom come. That means He has unlimited resources that we don't fully understand. So when we pray, our prayers become so much more effective